Before we get into today's video, I wanted to take a second to talk about Leadify and the favorite thing about Leadify that I personally have. Now, this is part of their paid subscription portion of Leadify, but you're able to open up practice servers. Not just practice servers, but also scrim servers. And now everybody in ESEA main likes using the offline scrim servers. They don't actually like using ESEA. They're really helpful, really useful. You can even go and watch the demo afterwards. You can download, get the demo, and it pops up easy peasy. Look, I'll set one up right now. So I can do Mirage, start server, give it like 5 seconds, and it's going to pop up with an IP that is valid for 3 hours. Everybody can join. There were no issues getting anybody to join. Everybody can ready up. There's knife round. There's a ton of different options as well. So I highly recommend this. This is, again, part of the paid portion of Leadify. This is not free. So you do have to get the Leadify subscription. All of that is in the description of this video, and enjoy the rest. Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about how you should peek angles when you have the knowledge of where the person is, when you don't have the knowledge, if it's a long angle, a close angle, an opera, a rifle, just going over basically everything you need to know about peeking angles. Let me quickly join into my Leadify practice server that, I just set up in the matter of 10 seconds. So when talking about peeking angles, there are a lot of variables that you have to consider. I just listed out a couple, but if it's a rifle, if it's an opper, if it's a long angle, a close angle, is it an execute? Do you have any util? Are you going out dry, right? So there's a ton of variables, and it's really hard to rank those variables on like priority. So we're just going to go and take Mirage for an example, as is per usual on this channel. We're going to go from A site to mid to B and talk about how to peek angles differently. So starting on A site, we have Palace. Now Palace is pretty simple for this. The first two angles that you're going to be exposed to is jungle and then stairs, top stairs connector. They can still be on this angle. So you're exposed to a lot right here. And these two angles, it's very common for an opper to be here and a rifler to be here. You're not going to see an opper here as much unless this opper has already moved out to stairs and then they have a guy in connector, right? So this is an angle where it's really based off of what the information your teammates have. Where are your teammates? Are they doing anything to alleviate some of the pressure on this angle? And what I mean by that is, are they taking mid? If window's smoked, all right, where else does this CT have to go besides right here? There's a good chance that if window's smoked, CT will post up on Palace, or the CT will come over here and post con, right? Because the smoke, there's no point in just sitting behind the smoke. Now, when we know that it's smoked, right, I have to be extra careful coming out of Palace because there could be an opper right here. The way that I know that there's an opper not here with a window smoke is that we're still fighting mid. For example, we smoke window, and we're like getting ready to flash into con. Or my teammates call, hey, they smoked bottom con. If they smoke this, all right, I now know that coming out of Palace, I don't have to worry about a stairs player at all because the con guy is so focused on mid. He has no reason to be focused on A site right now. Now, in lower levels, this may not be the case. People may not make the smarter decisions, right? So there is some variance in that. But at higher levels, you can kind of guess where they're gonna, how they're gonna react in regards to, what utility your teammates are throwing. So because I now no longer have to worry about this, if I cross here and I don't get shot at, there's no opper, basically. It really just brute force it, right? You clear up here, and then it's a matter of taking your time right here and knowing when you need to start swinging CT instead. So I'm just assuming that I haven't heard any sort of footsteps towards A site. And, because nobody's here, I know I don't have a lot of time to just wait around, right? I can't just wait for somebody to peek me from here. As soon as I see this is clear, I need to start doing what I wanted to do in the first place, which was try to entry out on A site. I will not win this battle, or at least my percentages for winning this battle will not be super high because there will be an opper here, and this guy has a pretty decent angle coming up right here. So As soon as I see this is clear, I need to then start swinging towards ticket, maybe triple, maybe default, but really just thinking about all the different spots that the CT can play. Maybe he's under palace as well. That's happened a lot of times where I come out balk, right? Maybe I don't see anybody here, or an opper misses a shot, and I'm like, oh, sight's clear. And then there's a guy under balk, right? So you got to make sure that you're clearing the angles, you're thinking about where people are playing, and you're using your teammates in utility to your advantage. You have to use their distraction to walk out. This is more of a lurk position. Now, when coming out ramp, right, you can kind of guess where people are going to be. This is not something where you have no idea where anybody is, right? You can kind of guess that there's probably going to be a guy around this CT area, site maybe, and there's probably going to be a guy in this area. Maybe he's going to go under balk or something, but that's something that you can deduce later on once you're coming out. So because you can kind of guess those two angles, it's a lot easier than just going in with no information. There's not really too many fights that you're going to have in Counter-Strike that you'll have no information for. Now, if you feel like there's a lot of fights where you have no idea where they are, like you're just swinging blindly out on a site, that doesn't mean that there's no information for it. That means you're just ignoring the information that you're given or that you already should have. There's literally nobody else in the server right now, and I could probably tell you where they would be playing, right? So it's site side and con side. Now, again, lower levels, there's going to be some variance to this. It's not going to be as consistent. They may be playing weird angles. They might put 3 towards A. You don't know. But in higher levels, this is pretty consistent, and you're going to be able to guess where they are. As backwards as that is, right? So when you're coming out, right, this is not supposed to be a how to entry video, but a how to swing. And this all comes down to crosshair placement and pre-aiming, right? Making sure that you're pre-aiming stuff properly. You're guessing where the big angles first. All right, so I'm not going to clear to the right side of triple. I'm going to clear CT. So I'm going to clear here, and then I'm clearing CT. I'm not guessing. Well, I'm not going to clear this. I'm not going to waste the time, right? Because I'm going for the higher percentage angles where they're most likely playing. Now, again, probably a rifler here. Probably an opper here. So what can I do in that case? The rifler, I can just take this gunfight, right? I have pretty good crosshair placement on this angle. He swings out. As long as he doesn't swing out super wide, I should be able to get him. But with this opper, there's a couple things you can do. You can wait until your mid people take contact again. That's going to make everybody on A look towards con. Lots of times you can even catch the opper off guard because he's going to be on ticket scope down, right? So you can just walk out and get that easy kill. You would be surprised by how often that happens at higher levels. But you can do a couple other things. You can use utility, right? A flash like this, the opper has to get off of the angle. He either has to stay, or that was a really bad flash. Let's be honest. So the opper that was also a bad flash. Here we are. Here we'll just do a nice classic. Absolutely perfect. The opper's going to be blind on that. He can either stay on the angle, which he most likely will, and he's going to shoot directly after the flash pops, right? So you either swing with the flash, which I wouldn't really recommend, which would be like this, right? Or you throw the flash, you wait for it to pop, he shoots, and then you go out. He's going to be deeper ticket at this point because think about it, you're the opper. You shoot, you're falling off right here. That allows you a lot of space to get out, maybe reposition Tetris, do whatever. You can even, if you're fast enough, you can get up here, use triple as cover, and get all the way to jungle. So that's with an opper. You can also try to jiggle it, right? But that's a little bit difficult. I wouldn't recommend going up and doing one of these, right? It's really easy to kill you with an op when you're doing this, right? But for something like this where it's a strafe, that's gonna be a lot more effective in getting the opper to miss their shot. The only problem is that when the opper misses their shot, you're now facing this way, and then you have to turn around and try to get out before they can, cock their gun back. So think about it. Opper misses. You only have so long to get back out, right? So that's something that you do have to be worried about, right? Careful. When you have kind of an idea where they are, that's when you can start eliminating angles. So if I have a guy in Palace and he says, okay, one's default, I heard him scope default, right? Or like make a step reload or something, then you can say, okay, there's probably nobody CT because that's the CT guy pushed up. All I have to do is worry about stairs. And stairs probably won't be peeking down ramp, you know, just normally. He's going to be playing in connector or whatever. So I can kind of contact out here. And I can just completely like focus everything on this default guy. And if he's not peeking, right, I can slowly work up, get to here. If I still can't see him by this point, which you most likely will be able to, you can like say, all right, Palace guy, I'm going to shoot once, then you're coming out because he's going to be looking at me. You shoot, the guy goes, wait, how is he there? He turns this way, Palace guy comes out, boom, dead. Right? It's really not that difficult in confusing somebody like that. So it's not really a matter of wide swinging out. I wouldn't really recommend that when coming out onto a site. You know, just trying to guess where people are. Now, the only time where you might want a wide swing is when you have smokes down. So smoke, smoke, smoke. Your first one out, you have a flash over. The flash makes all the difference. If you have a flash over, you're swinging out, right? You have a flash over on this. You're coming out wide. You're coming out fast. You're getting as much map control as you can before these smokes fade. All right, it's not about taking your time on an execute. It's not about being diligent. It's about getting the most control of the map and getting bomb down in a really good spot while the smokes are down. Now in pro play, it's a little bit different. You won't see that as much. You'll see them throw an execute and like come out and get to like this point and then just wait for 20 seconds and then throw another execute on top of it and then come out even further. You're not really going to see that in pugs or anything where anybody who's watching this really is playing, right? That's more in professional play. But with a flash, with teammates behind you, then you want to be the first one to swing out. If you're solo or with another person, right, buddy system, you're going to want to play it a little bit slower. Now, mid. All right, there's only 3 angles they can peek you from in mid. They can peek you from window, con, these two basically, and cat, right? So not a lot of stuff close unless you're taking mid late. And we'll just, for the purpose of this video, we'll assume that you're taking it pretty early because most everybody is. Nobody's really taking mid-late in pugs, right? So, you really shouldn't be swinging mid unless you have some sort of smoke going on. So a window smoke is the most basic in my opinion. Yeah, you could smoke top mid. That lets you get behind box, but besides that, you can't really do too much. Window smoke's the most basic. Window smoke paired with either, let's say, a cat smoke, right? That's always pretty useful because then you have eliminated 2 of the angles that they can be, and you can 100% focus on connector. Connector being the most likely angle that you get swung from regardless, right? Yeah, there's probably going to be an op or window, but with that window smoke that you should be throwing every single time, they're probably not going to mess you up too much. The con guy is the one that's going to swing you, right? Whether they're going to go for an op pick right here or they're just going to sit back here and hold this, right? So being able to eliminate the window angle and the cat angle that quickly are nice. You can even smoke window and then smoke top con as well. And then this will somewhat eliminate the opper posted top con, right? So you smoke window, the opper gets smoked. Just like we said earlier, he has to fall off of this angle. He can either post palace or he's looking con. Well, now he doesn't really have an option. He has to post palace or he has to wait for this window boost, right? Because con's smoked. Now with this, there can still be a rifler in con. Really good chance he's right here. Equally as good chance that he's right there. The way that you eliminate that is you're mollying, right? And now there's only one angle that he can be playing in connector, and it's right here. And this can get mollied out as well. This is all before you peak the angle, right? So it's not about getting the right peak. It's not about having that proper crosshair placement when you're coming out. It's about using your utility to really eliminate all the angles that they could be so you can better focus on one. Mid is such a long-range fight. An opper will kill your team immediately if you just swing out dry, right? Being able to eliminate the angles and make it in your favor, in your advantage, is how you swing it, right? Now, obviously, coming out mid, you do want to go wide. If like there's 5 people here, right? You're swinging wide and you're just trying to get out. A better way you can do this is run boost. You crouch right here. Guy jumps on your head. As soon as you stand up, first jump, you're running out and he's jumping out, right? If you're on Deegs or something, then you're probably going to want to be playing it a little bit slower, right? In my opinion, if everybody played with rifles the way they played with Deegs, they would be so much better. Because with Deegs, look, you're automatically like jiggling this angle, you're taking your time, your crosshair placement's really being thought out. With an AK, you're just swinging out wide, right? You just assume that you'll adjust your spray. But with the Deeg, everybody's, taking your time, thinking about it, flashing things, smoking things off, really like making sure that they have the best crosshair placement possible. So in that case, you're going to want to peek it a little bit slower, right? If you're really thinking about that, maybe you're the only one, maybe there's a second guy with you mid, there's no smokes down, or you want to throw the smoke a little bit later, you first have to clear this, then you can, smoke top mid like that, and now you can just stay focused on con, right? I smoked it a little bit deeper, so I don't have to worry about cat. And I can just clip around this. Then I can kind of get right here, see a little bit. Once smoke starts to fade, I can get through and slowly entry up, right? So taking your time when you don't have utility. When you have utility, you're swinging out wide. Same thing goes for B. So on B site, you're never really going to be coming out here without utility unless it's like no longer a 5 versus 5, right? You're not going to be contacting like this. Maybe pistol round you do a contact B, but on a gun round, you're never going to be really like contacting out nice and slow, especially solo, unless your team already has a pick somewhere else in the map. The reason for that is that when your team gets a pick or when the CTs go down a man, it's the most likely option is that one of the B players rotate over because the B is not the hit site. Most times, it's usually A or mid. And so either the cat player is going to rotate over or the apps player is going to rotate over. So now it's a 1v1 on site instead of a 1v2 on site. So it's not really a matter of, playing it nice and slow and knowing when to contact out. If it is like a 5 versus 4, you guys have the man advantage or whatever, right? Again, you're taking it nice and slow. You're clearing the angles. Apps is a little bit difficult to really clear these angles, in my opinion. You probably want to jump out the window if you're doing a contact play because there could be a guy Van just sitting right here. There could be a guy Jail, right? They're all most likely playing angles where you're not going to get spotted. Like, they're not playing primary angles. They're playing secondary angles. And what I mean by that is, like, playing something like this, right? Where he's not holding down apps. He's not holding the actual spot where you have to come out. He's holding the likely spot that you're going to swing after you come out. And it's really good for multi-frags. It's how you're supposed to play B as a CT. If you feel like you're playing B a lot and you keep dying, it's probably because you're playing the primary angle on site, and you really shouldn't be, right? Playing right here, you're just asking to die instead of, maybe playing right here with a cat guy. This is much more effective. So when you're coming out B and you're contacting, you kind of just need to take the risk. There's a couple ways that you can do that. You can flash out like that and then try to get out window, right? And just clearing the primary angles, or not the primary angles, but the highest percentage angles. So here, here, and then here, in my opinion. If you're ranking the first places of contact that you're going to get spotted. Also, if you jump out right here, you don't have to worry about market window, right? You don't want to swing that far. So these are the 3 angles you're exposed to. I think it's most likely there's a guy there. Second, most likely here. Third, most likely there. And then you can kind of just walk around site and clear everything else. Now, if it's an execute coming out, it depends on the kind of execute. If it's a fast smoke execute like this, where you're throwing one of those, right? And these are for each arch. If I threw them properly, let's find out. You know what? Close enough. We'll take it. So if it's one of those, your last 2 players with the worst 2 spawns, are throwing the smokes. Everybody else is running up, flashing over like this. You're just sprinting all the way up. So it's not going to be like I always mess that flash up. I don't throw it when we're actually running this on a team because I always mess it up. I usually just throw like this, or I'm the one that throws the molly towards Van. But when you're, or bench, sorry. When everybody's flashing over and it's an execute, again, like I've been saying, when you're making the steps already, you just want to swing out. And you want to make the spaces the entry, right? You just want to start swinging out, making sure you're clearing things. At this point, CTs will be shooting back at you, so you can kind of like determine where they are, I guess. But if it's one of those executes, that's what you have to do. But if it's a slower execute where, let's say, you're smoking market window. I used to know a market door smoke from somewhere. I don't remember. Maybe you're smoking cat like this as well, right? I messed up the cat smoke as well. All right. One last try, and then we'll keep it moving forward. There we go. There we go. So you smoke market window, you smoke cat, right? Your entry isn't running all the way up here. Your entry, while you guys are throwing the smokes, should be right here, you know, taking his time, really like clearing the angles. But once those smokes come down, right, you have time to line up the flash, then you're going to want to go out. Did I mess that up one more time? Of course I did. Of course I did. I'm recording a video. Why wouldn't I? But you're waiting for smokes, waiting for smokes. As soon as smokes go down, maybe you continue to walk up here. I probably wouldn't at this point. It's smokes on B. Everybody's rotating. You don't have too much time. Then you got to flash out and start going, right? And when the smokes are down, the way that you start eliminating some of the angles is by mollying. So you can molly off van, make sure nobody's there. You can molly off bench as well, trying to make sure that nobody's peeking you while you're coming out apps this way. They can still play bench technically, right? They just have to move out of the way of the molly, but they won't be able to play this secondary position, right? That secondary angle on you. So just really thinking about using utility to clear off the angles. And then, honestly, when peeking angles, there's only two ways to do it. You're either doing it with an execute and you're swinging out wide, or you're doing it solo, where you probably have a dig or maybe a rifle, and you're playing it nice and slow. So thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you all next time.